What's going on, Bengals fans? We are back for another edition here of Bengals Breakdown. We are talking about this Week 9 matchup. Chicago Bears, coming to town to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And look, they're only a 3.5-point favorite in this game, so I'm sure by Saturday I'll talk myself into thinking that the Bengals can just outscore the Bears somehow in this game this weekend. The Bears haven't necessarily been like that great. I mean, they're kind of middle of the pack right now. They did rattle off a couple wins in a row the past couple of weeks, but then last week they also dropped that game as well against the Ravens there. So, their offense actually starting to look a little bit better right now, but their defense still, kind of lower third right now in the NFL. Obviously, the Bengals defense is probably the worst in the NFL. So, this over-under right now is set at 51.5. I could see this one hitting the over probably in this game this weekend. Both offenses, I'm sure, are going to get theirs in this game this weekend. So we'll see what ends up happening. And look, I know we are mad as Bengals fans right now, especially after last week's loss to the Jets. But look, we're still going to watch the game at the end of the day when it comes to Sunday. So I need you guys to get down to the comments section and spam those Who Days for me right now. All right, so let's get into some of this injury news. You can probably tell by the headline, it is not very good right now. You got Joe Flacco and Trey Hendrickson. Those are the two main ones that we really need to monitor there. Both those guys are going to be questionable going into this game. It was reported yesterday. We put that short out yesterday morning that Joe Flacco was dealing with a AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder. And look, man, I just have zero faith in the Bengals if, Jake Browning has to go out there and play quarterback for him. Same thing with Trey Hendrickson as well. He's the only pass rush that you have right now. He obviously got hurt on that last drive of last week's game right before halftime. Kind of got blocked in the back there, didn't get called. Either way, re-aggravated that hip injury. Then Logan Wilson also apparently aggravated his calf on like the opening kickoff, I believe is what it was in that game last week. So he was actually did not practice yesterday. He was just kind of sitting over on the stationary bike over there. So he's going to be questionable. Marco Wilson has also been dealing with a hamstring injury over the past couple of weeks. And Dalton Risner was also listed again on the Wednesday injury report for the Bengals. He does still have that illness that he had on Sunday as well. So it's been a couple days now. So, I would think that Dalton Risner would probably be ready to go by the time Sunday rolls around. But, I don't know if he's, how sick he is or anything like that. So maybe he has the flu right now. Who really knows? So that's definitely going to be another one to monitor there. There's also a couple other guys here who were listed on the injury report, but they were still full participants in practice. So just kind of wanted to go over that as well. Dylan Fairchild did end up playing last week, but still dealing with that same little knee injury there. Cedric Johnson was a full participant with a calf injury, and Cam Sample was also a full participant with that knee injury. When it comes to the Chicago Bears, some injuries to monitor for these guys here. Man, their wide receivers last week got really, really banged up. Luther Bird and DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, all these guys did not practice on Wednesday for the Chicago Bears. But when I was kind of diving into some articles and reading that, it's not out of the question that these guys are probably going to be good to go for the game coming up this weekend. Maybe Luther Burden, I don't know. He's got that concussion right now, so obviously that could, lead to some things there for Luther Burden. So, he might be one that's probably the least likely to play out of all those wide receivers there. Same kind of thing with the running backs there. DeAndre Swift was dealing with a groin injury. He sat out of practice yesterday, but I got a feeling by the time Sunday rolls around, most of these guys are going to end up going. Luther Burden is probably the only one that we really got to monitor and keep an eye on, as he right now is dealing with that concussion protocol. The Bears, though, this year, like I said, they are 4-3 right now. And they actually, it's weird. The Vikings were actually pretty good at the beginning of the season. Now it kind of seems like they are iffy right now. Obviously, the quarterback situation there's been kind of weird, but they took a loss to the Lions as well. Then they beat the Cowboys. Then they start going on a run here. They beat the really bad defense Cowboys. The Cowboys and the Bengals, I feel like, are kind of the exact same team right now. The Raiders are not that very good. The Commanders kind of up and down. You see a lot of these games, man. They've been really, really close, even with the Saints there. And, then they ended up dropping to the Ravens last week, and they don't even have Lamar Jackson back quite yet. They had Tyler Huntley at quarterback in that game there. So this is a up and down Bears team. And like I said, I'm probably going to talk myself by the end of the week into, the Bengals probably going to end up just outscoring this Bears team this weekend. When it comes to their rankings, though, both offense and defense, you see the offense, they're 10th in a lot of categories right now. Rushing, passing, third down efficiency. Red zone actually, we're talking about their red zone touchdown percentage here, actually hasn't been that great. They've been having to, settle for a lot of field goals. They've kind of been dying out in the red zone there. But like I said, going up against this Bengals defense, they'll probably find their way into the end zone this weekend. Defensive-wise for the Bears, not great, but not awful either. I don't know. They're giving up, 26 points per game. They're giving up about 143 yards per game, 207 passing yards per game. Their secondary has actually come along a little bit better the past couple of games, and it's definitely helped that category out. When it comes to the Bears' defense on third down, though, they are really, really good. They're second right now in allowing opponents to pick up those third downs about 31.9% of the time. And then their red zone defense as well. They're not great, but they're not awful either. We'll see if the Bengals can end up punching their way into the end zone this weekend. But a lot of that, I think, is going to really determine if Joe Flacco ends up playing in this game or not. All right, we'll continue with some more breakdown of the Chicago Bears here in just a second. But today's show is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks is the official sponsor of tailgating. From legendary burgers to mouth-watering steaks, deli-style franks, and so much more, you'll elevate your next game day get-together with America's original butcher. For more than a century, Omaha Steaks has delivered the world's best steak experience. Omaha Steaks' legendary flavor is served in stadiums and homes across the country. And right now, with this exclusive offer, you guys can get $35 off at omahasteaks.com just by using promo code BENGALS at checkout. Terms do apply, and you can see that website for extra details. But you can see right there, guys, it's not just steak. It's also chicken. It's also desserts. It's, they've got dogs. They've got burgers. They've got their own very own seasonings as well. Maybe you're not necessarily a turkey person around Thanksgiving time. Maybe you want to do some filet mignons. Maybe you want to do a couple T-bones on the grill for Thanksgiving. You can do that with Omaha Steaks. They've got a lot of really, really good priced bundles going on right now as well. Maybe it's even a good thing that you might want to send to the relatives as well around Christmas time. That's usually a pretty good gift you can do as well. So make game day delicious with the official sponsor of tailgating. Visit omahasteaks.com and get $35 off with promo code BENGALS at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com with promo code BENGALS at checkout to get $35 off. Terms do apply, and you can see that website for extra details. That link is also going to be down in the comments section and the description of today's video. We appreciate Omaha Steaks for being the sponsor of today's show. All right, so Caleb Williams, I think he's been playing a little bit more efficient than he was last year. You talk about the turnovers, still, hasn't been great, in that aspect compared to last year anyways. But really, the one thing about this Bears team and why Caleb Williams is actually playing a little bit better despite maybe kind of what the numbers might look like there, he's taken way less sacks. Last year, Caleb Williams took 68 sacks. And what did the Bears do? They got Ben Johnson, and then they reworked their entire offensive line. So far through 7 games this year, Caleb Williams has only taken 12 sacks. So, he's done a whole lot better. I think he's actually running the ball a little bit less. He's keeping his eyes downfield. He's staying in the pocket. He's not running from clean pockets, I think, as much as he may have been last year, especially with that offensive line for the Bears last year. This year, it's been a whole lot better, for him anyways. And it really helps as well when you also have DeAndre Swift, running the ball at, over 4.5 yards per carry as well. These two Bears running backs, it's kind of crazy, you look back to that Vikings game and the first game of the season, and they were running the ball extremely efficiently, and then all of a sudden, they get across the 50-yard line, and they start having some penalties, and it backs them up a little bit, and it just kind of stalled off on some of those drives there. But whether it comes to running the ball or receiving the ball, these Bears running backs do a very good job of that. And that's one thing that always makes me nervous about this Bengals defense is their linebackers and their ability to cover out of whether it's the running backs or the tight ends, whatever, just coming across the middle there. They haven't done a very good job at that. So we'll see if, the Bears just end up, checking it down all the way down the field. I could definitely see that happening, especially with DeAndre Swift. You saw what Breece Hall did against this Bengals defense last week anyways. It just, it still just irritates the hell out of me thinking about that. These Bears wide receivers as well, we talked about the fact that, a lot of these guys are banged up, but the one that you may, there's a big question mark on right now is Luther Burden with that concussion. So I think the rest of them are probably going to end up playing for the Bears this weekend, though. Romadunze, he's been really good so far this year. He's kind of been a touchdown machine for this Bears offense. DJ Moore kind of had a little bit of a, up and down season a little bit. He's kind of, been mixed in a little bit with some of these trade rumors right now. So, we'll see what ends up happening on that. But, I'm not the most confident going into this game. This is a game that you definitely could win. But, we'll see if this Bengals defense can really, end up holding this Bears, offense this weekend. So the Bears right now are averaging 24 points per game. How many do you think they will end up scoring against the Bengals this week? Get your predictions down inside the comment section of today's show. All right, so we are not going to do any kind of keys to victory this week. Instead, we are talking about the stages of grief, and it really goes through every single day. Denial was on Sunday. How did we end up losing that game against the Jets? I was speechless. The fact that you were up 14 points twice, including in the fourth quarter. The Jets go down. They score 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, including 2 two-point conversions as well. I have no idea how the Bengals ended up losing that game. Number 2 is anger. That was on Monday. I was calling for Mike Brown to sell the team because they're too cheap. How do you expect the Bengals to go out there and really be able to evaluate talent when you're only going out there and paying 2 scouts in your front office? So that was on Monday. I was very, very mad. You go back and look at the short, go back and look at our videos. I was very, very mad on Monday. And then Tuesday was bargaining. I wanted to trade everybody. We're talking about these trade rumors going up here now into the NFL trade deadline coming up next Tuesday. And, whether it was Trey Hendrickson, whether it was Logan Wilson, CTB, we've been talking about all these different types of trade rumors. I've even seen people down in the comment section. This is not me. I have seen these comments, though. People are talking about trading Joe Burrow right now just because he's constantly getting hurt. So, Bengals fans right now really going through it. That was on Tuesday, went through bargaining. And then on Wednesday was really depression boy day for me. I had no faith in this Bengals team whatsoever. And it really, from Sunday to Wednesday, my mood was really affected. I'd go home and my fiance would be, I'd just be quiet, over there on the couch, eating dinner, just watching TV, not really talking or anything like that. She's like, babe, are you okay? I'm like, I just still don't understand how the Bengals ended up losing that game on Sunday. And then number 5, today, Thursday, is acceptance. I just still don't really have faith in this Bengals team, but I'm not going to let it affect my mood anymore, at least for the next couple of days here. And then, by the time Friday ends up rolling around, I feel like, I hit a new stage, a delusional stage, where I'm going to end up convincing myself that the Bengals offense is actually going to be able to go out there and just outscore the Bears, especially if Joe Flacco is able to go in this game this weekend. And then on Saturday, I will probably talk myself into the any given Sunday theory out there where, it is the NFL. Anybody can be beaten on any given Sunday. But today is not Saturday quite yet. Today is still Thursday, and I just do not have faith in this Bengals team right now. I just have a feeling that I'm going to end up getting my heart ripped out again this week. The defense just flat out is not good. There's a chance that neither Joe Flacco nor Trey Hendrickson end up playing in this game. And, without those two guys, This Bengals team, whether it's on offense or defense, just cannot get anything going. The Bears offense under Ben Johnson now is really starting to, really kind of hit their stride here. So I'm going to say the Bengals end up losing this game this week, 35-32 to the Chicago Bears, and it just end up repeating the cycle that we just saw with those stages of grief. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to Bengals Breakdown. Hey, I'm sure at some point this weekend we're all going to get angry. Well, we can all be angry and we can cope together. Join us for our Bengals versus Bears watch party and hit that sub button and join the community right here on Bengals Breakdown.